So, Rampage Grand Slam kicked off with CM Punk versus Will Hobbs. And hey, check it out, the CM Trunks came back. Guess he wasn't kidding about that tweet. I'm actually really glad that he has the trunks back because I just couldn't get used to seeing him in those long pants. But for CM Punk's first TV match in 7 years, I thought it was a good match. And while I don't think it was necessarily better than the Darby match, I actually think Punk found his stride better in this match. But that just might be because he's got a little bit more experience being back in the ring. And personally, if you asked me how I wanted this match to go, because I mentioned before how I was curious how Punk would be able to beat Hobbs since he was so big and strong and just this giant monster. And if you asked me how I wanted this match to go, I would have wanted Punk to not be able to hit Hobbs with the GTS because he's too big and too heavy to be lifted up. But then Punk could bring back the Anaconda Vice to make Hobbs tap out. I think that would have been a really great way to reintroduce the Anaconda Vice. But Punk actually did manage to hit Hobbs with the GTS after Hobbs accidentally took out Hook and Punk pinned Hobbs for the win. So I imagine next will be Ricky Starks because that was another name that Punk mentioned that he wanted to face in the ring, and he's also another member of Team Taz, so that could continue Punk's rivalry with them. And then we had the SuperKliq, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks facing off against Christian Cage and Jurassic Express, and I loved everything about Cole's entrance. The fact that they always let him come out to his own theme, which again is an absolute banger. The crowd participation, which is always super hot. I think he's actually more over in AEW than he's ever been. Like the boom and the Adam Cole Bebe was super loud tonight. And I think they also changed Cole's music a bit so that it actually fits in the boom better now, which honestly just makes the entrance so much better. And when Adam Cole did the Adam Cole Bebe and he posed with the Young Bucks who were doing their pose, it gave me serious Undisputed Era vibes, which I also loved. And the match was also great. It just had a ton of great transitions to it. There was a great spot with Luchasaurus and the SuperKliq where Cole and the Young Bucks were lined up and Luchasaurus was hitting roundhouse kicks and heel kicks to the Young Bucks and Adam Cole, who were ducking and dodging them but eventually were getting caught with them. And Jungle Boy also did a great spot with the Hurricanrana off the top rope to one of the Bucks while the other was below them, and then Jungle Boy just transitioned straight into a German suplex. But at the end, it was an absolutely great sequence of events when the Young Bucks took out Jungle Boy and Christian Cage, and Adam Cole finished off Luchasaurus in the ring with a Panama Sunrise, and then the Young Bucks transitioned straight into a BTE trigger, and Cole finished Luchasaurus off with the last shot. Just a beautiful ending and an awesome match all around. And then Jericho and Hager faced off against the Men of the Year, and I just love the crowd participation during AEW shows. I mean, between them singing CM Punk's theme song, Cult of Personality, as he comes out, to them doing all the cues during Adam Cole's entrance, they were just killing it tonight. And their rendition of Judas tonight was just great. And I really thought Jericho and Hager were going to win, but I think they're actually going for a push with the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, because the match ended when one of them cradled Hager and pinned him. And then Jericho and Hager took out the Men of the Year after the match and tried going after Dan Lambert, but Lambert's UFC fighters came out to defend him. And it was really cool, especially being an MMA fan and more specifically a UFC fan, because I saw Junior Dos Santos and Paige Van Zandt and Andre Arlovsky, but the big one was definitely Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. And to be honest, if Masvidal ever decides not to continue his MMA career one day and he decides to go into pro wrestling, I think he can do really well, because I think he honestly just looks like a great heel. I mean, he looked positively evil standing in the corner and watching the other UFC fighters beat up Jericho and Hager. And I don't know why, but he just looked totally in his element. Like, he just looked so comfortable. It looked like he really was a professional wrestler and he'd been doing this for years. But to finish the segment off, Masvidal stood in the corner while the others set up Jericho across the ring from him. And I thought to myself, what is he going to do? Is he going to run at Jericho and knee him? And he actually ran at Jericho and hit his infamous flying knee that he used to KO Ben Askren, which got him the fastest KO in UFC history. And that got a huge laugh out of me because that was just way too real. Like, I get that you need Askren into oblivion, but you don't gotta do Jericho dirty like that too. I honestly just love that whole segment. I just love UFC fighters being on AEW TV. It makes me really glad that I actually dedicate some of my time to both pro wrestling and MMA. And then we had an 8-man tag team match with LAX and the Lucha Brothers facing off against Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade. And it was a good match. LAX and Lucha Brothers were particularly exciting, being the high-flying wrestlers that they are. And they got the win, but I feel like LAX are going to eventually turn on the Lucha Brothers to go after the AEW World Tag Team titles. Because one, I feel like it is about LAX's time to become champions. And I don't know, for some reason, I just can't really see them as baby faces as easily as I can see them as heels. And then afterwards, we had a segment where Miro took out Fuego del Sol and Sammy Guevara to make a statement before his match with Sammy Guevara for the TNT title. And then Tony Schiavone was backstage with Matt Hardy and Jack Evans, where Matt Hardy challenged Orange Cassidy to a hair versus hair match, and he put Jack Evans in the match. And then Anna Jay took on Penelope Ford, and at the end of the match, while the bunny distracted the referee, Penelope Ford knocked out Anna Jay with a pair of brass knucks. And to be honest with you, I feel like I'm starting to see way too many screwy finishes. Like, just let these guys wrestle. I don't want to see interferences in so many matches. I feel like it's almost customary at this point for at least one match on the card every show to have some sort of interference. But either way, after the match, the bunny and Penelope Ford started beating down on Anna Jay, but Ty Conti came out to help her. And then they also ganged up on Ty Conti, and eventually Ty Conti was caught with the brass knucks as well. And then the Hardy family office came out to make sure that nobody interfered during this beatdown. But then Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander came out, and Orange Cassidy called for the cavalry, and the Dark Order came out to help out their fellow Dark Order member Anna Jay. And it was in this that they started to mend the fences a bit and start to reconcile over their mutual goal of helping Anna Jay. But Stu Grayson and Evil Uno were not completely ready to go all the way yet, and they walked out before they could truly mend the fences. And then we had our main event, which was a lights out match with Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley facing off against Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer. And they didn't even waste any time getting on with the violence. People were sent through tables. There was one point which was kind of confusing where Archer just started randomly attacking ringside attendants and then just chokeslammed Moxley off the apron onto them, much in the same way where he beat Moxley for the IWGP US title during that Texas death match a while ago. They taped Mox's hands together behind his back and began wearing him down with a strap, a trash can lid, and I think kendo sticks. And my favorite part was when they used the strap to hang Mox over the ropes like a third world traitor of the state, like he did during his CZW days. Sorry, Renee. And it looked like Archer and Suzuki were about to win, but then Homicide from TNA made a surprise entrance, and he came out to help Moxley and Suzuki. And eventually Moxley was freed, and Kingston put Archer's head in a trash can and started beating the shit out of it with a kendo stick and got the win. And there was kind of an awkward moment after the match where Moxley and Suzuki were still kind of fighting each other, and then Moxley just stopped and got in the ring and celebrated with Kingston. But overall, it was a pretty good show tonight, and I think it definitely delivered on its Grand Slam name. And since they did all the feuds and all the matches which I thought were going to be featured on pay-per-view, I'm interested to see where we're going to go from here.